Hello, today we're going to be taking notes on using percentage or more percentage problems. On our last set of notes, we talked about using percent to find the discount on a price. Meaning if you go to a shoe store and the shoe store is saying that everything is 35% off, what would be the cost of those shoes you want to purchase after you apply the 35% discount? Today we're going to talk more about using discount. Now, with percentage, when we did discount, you subtract the discount from the original cost. The three different types of percentage problems today that we're going to talk about, you actually are going to add the discount, or not the discount, the percent. Class, can anybody in class today think of a way or a reason why you might have to add a percentage value to a cost of an item? Riley. Because of tax. Riley said tax, and that's a good one because in the state of California, and really in the United States, in most states, you get charged a sales tax when you buy something. So if I go to the store and I buy a new shirt, I'm not going to walk out of the store just paying the $10 for the shirt. I'm going to pay an additional fee, which is the additional fee is the tax. It's a percentage that goes to the state to help pay for roads and schools and different things. Can anybody think of another reason why I might add an additional amount to my cost?
A tip.
A tip. Very good. So Daphne gave the idea of a tip. A tip is when you go to a restaurant and the server, your waitress or waiter, does a great job of giving you your food, and so you then give them an additional amount of money, additional to the amount that they actually are paid, and that is called a tip. Now, it's interesting, some states actually, believe it or not, pay waiters and waitresses less than the minimum wage. And they do this because they assume they're going to be getting money also in for tips. So tips are a big part of that person's salary because, for example, I think in Texas, the minimum wage for a server is a couple dollars less than the minimum wage for somebody else because they assume that with with tips, that server is going to be getting the minimum wage amount. So, tips are important. There's another one I'm thinking about. How many of your parents own a car? Okay, most of the class or all of the class. How many of your parents own a home? How many of your parents went to college and had to get student loans to go to college? How many of you have ever seen your parents use a credit card? Can you think of something that it has in common with all of those things I just said? Credit cards, school loans, home loans, car loans. Noah Engel, what do you think?
I think they all have to do with bills.
They're bills, but what is that bill? What is that additional bill that we get added? Ryder?
Money.
Money, it's money. There's a word. I'm trying to think of this word. It's a percent that is added. What is it, Serena?
Taxes.
Not taxes. Riley?
Interest.
Interest. Very good. It's interest. So when you get a credit card, and on that credit card you get to borrow $1,000, the credit card company, Visa or Capital One or MasterCard or whatever company it is, they don't just give you that money and say, oh, enjoy the money, pay me back whenever you can. They say, enjoy the money, but guess what? I'm going to charge you 5, 10, 13%, whatever it might be, interest on that money. Meaning, you're going to pay me every month 13% of whatever you owe me. So 13% more of that $1,000, you're going to pay me as a cost or for the right to borrow the money from me. That money is, that extra percentage is how the credit card people and the loan people make their money, is they make it through interest. That's why typically when your parents are buying a car or buying a house, they shop around to find banks that offer the lowest interest rate, because if you're buying a $300,000 home, 1 or 2% on interest can make a big deal. It's a lot of money. So we want to make sure that you understand that interest is another thing that is added to the amount that you would owe. Okay, So let's try practicing some of these problems. So those are all good examples. The first one we're going to talk about today is sales tax. Now, when we did discount, remember it was just a percent of a number problem. You found 25% of a number, you multiplied them. First, you converted the percentage to a decimal, you multiplied it by the cost, and then you subtracted whatever your answer was from the original cost, and that was the discount. Sales tax is similar in the fact that it's a percentage problem, but the difference is it is applied or added to the original cost or discounted price. Meaning, if you don't have a sale, you're just going to take the original price of an item and you're going to apply or add the tax to it. If you have a discounted price, you're going to find the discount, subtract it from the original price, find out what the discounted price is, and then apply the tax. So to help us with this, I wanted us to look at an actual receipt. So this is a receipt that I have from going to Target last December. In this trip to Target, I bought a pair of pajamas, I bought some nail polish, and I bought a beanie hat. I spent a total of $21.09 for my items that I purchased. But that was not, you'll notice, what I paid out the door. I paid out the door $22.94 because I was charged tax. You'll notice here that this is my tax value. It says $1.85 was what I was charged in tax. That is because, according to California tax rates currently, I'm going to pay $8.75% on any purchase. Now, these purchases are non-food purchases. With the exceptions of restaurants, when you buy food, like at a grocery store, you don't pay tax typically on that food. But my items were all just regular items, and so I paid the tax. So the typical percentage right now in California is 8.75%. Tax rate changes based upon laws. And you can have additional tax fees on certain items. For example, typically cigarettes, alcohol, those things tend to have a higher tax rate because there's additional fees that are added to them. But depending on the state you live, Montana actually has no sales tax. So you can go into a store and you just pay whatever you pay. But in California, we get charged 8.75%. Now, I'm going to round that and say that our tax value is about 9% because it makes us have a nicer, easier number to work with. And you know that as long as I'm doing 9% and I have enough money to cover the 9% plus my price of my items, I'm going to have enough money to cover my amount. So I like to use 9%. So we're going to say 9% approximately is the California state sales tax. So now what you're going to do in order to find your cost is you are going to find the sales tax amount and add it to the original price. Okay, so looking at that means you're going to say, okay, approximately you're going to have the cost times approximately 9% or cost times this converted to a decimal, which we would move your decimal place twice and you would get 0.09. And that would equal the tax amount. So then you would do cost plus tax equals final cost. So, let's just say, for example, we are spending $10 on an item. We're going to do 9% of that is the tax. You would do $10 times 0.09. I like to use a calculator on these because honestly, if I'm in the store, I'm going to use a calculator. 10 times 0.09 equals 0.9 or 90 cents. You're going to take your cost, you're going to add your tax, and you're going to get your total. So this is your cost, tax, final cost. Right. And that's how you find tax. The next example of a problem we're going to do, let's slide this up, is tip. By the way, before I start tip, on this one, if you end up with something that looks like this, 0.395, okay, that is not proper money, right? Proper money has 2 digits. It only goes to the 10th place. So you would then round up to the next penny. Okay. So when you get problems like that, round up to the penny. All right, now let's do tip. Tip is another one that is added to the final cost. And it was going to be added to the final cost before tax. Okay, so typically for good service or for average service, you can pay anywhere regularly between 10 to 20% for tax, or excuse me, for tip. And usually it depends upon the level of service that you have. But 10 to 20% is average. To solve these problems, you're going to take the cost, you're going to multiply it by the tip amount or percent, and that's going to equal the final cost, and then you would add your tax. Okay. So it's a similar problem to the one we did before, where you would say, okay, let's say I want to do the cost of my food. So the cost of my food plus, or times, let's say the service was pretty good. I'm going to give them 15% average. And this would be the tax amount. This would be what I would be charging. So I would do cost times 15%. I would convert this to a decimal, and that would get me my cost. So, an example of this, let's say we go to a store or a restaurant and we buy food, and our food items cost us $6. Okay? So $6 for food. Let's say the service was really good, so I'm going to give her or him 20% for the tip. Okay? I'm going to do $6 times 20%. Can someone tell me what 20% converted as a decimal would be? William?
You move the decimal 2 times to the left and it would be 0.20.
Good. I'd move the decimal 2 times to the left and I would get 0.20, or just 2/10 would be fine as well. You can drop off that final 0, but either would be fine. Okay? So I could do this. Class, what's 6 times 2? 12. I have 1 decimal in. So I would get $1, or 1.2. What is that in dollar amount? $1 what?
$1.20.
Thank you, Noah.
It is $1.20.
$1.20. We're going to add that 0 in there, right? So this would be your tip amount. So then what you would do is you would take that amount and you would add it to your $6. So you would say $6 plus $1.20 is going to be $7.20. That would be your pre-tax total. But once again, in the state of California, we would then add our tax to that. Now, here's a little trick, a little tip or trick for the tip. Notice I said the percentage on an average tip is anywhere from 10 to 20%. What did I say the California tax rate is approximately? Lane. 8.75%, right? So if we double that, so we have 8.75% and we double it, what do we have? What's 8.75 times 2? Daphne?
17.5.
17.5, right? Okay, 17.5. 17.5%, is that a pretty good tip? Yeah, it's a pretty good tip. So couldn't I, if I didn't want to do all the math to figure out my tip, couldn't I just look at my check at what the tax amount is and double it? And then I could have a good estimate on a tip amount? Oftentimes that's what I do it. Now, to be real, most of the time when I go to stores or restaurants now, they give me a little computer at my table, or they give me a receipt, and that receipt will tell me what 10%, 15%, 20% is. It's kind of a little cheater, but we should know how to find the tip on our own. Okay, the next one is markup. Now we talked about interest, tax, tip. One thing I didn't talk to you about was markup. And markup is actually a really interesting thing, guys. What markup is yes, you may. Markup is, on Friday of this week, we're going to go, ASB is taking the school to the movies, right? And I told you there's 580 kids that are going to get to go to the movies. Well, 580 kids who get to go to the movies cost us about $800 to rent out the theater. Plus, we're going to take approximately 10 or 11 buses, which will cost the school another $3,000. Yeah. So that money doesn't come from the state. It doesn't come from my salary. We have to raise that money. So to raise that money, we do fundraisers. Do you remember the fall fundraiser that we do? Yeah, we sell things at the fall fundraiser. This Friday, we're actually going to start our new spring fundraiser. And that spring fundraiser helps us to get money to do things like this movie trip. Or at the end of the year, we send kids to different amusement parks and different parties for their GPAs. We also do dances, and we bring in special assemblies, and we do all kinds of different things. And all that stuff costs money. So organizations like my organization, ASB, we need to raise money. So we do fundraisers. So in fundraisers, we usually sell an item, but we buy that item at a certain price, and then we charge the people who are buying it more. And that additional price is called a markup. And that markup helps us to make a profit. So, for example, one of the fundraisers we've been talking about trying to do is, have you heard of Active board shops? Well, they sell socks. And they have a fundraiser where they will come in and we can buy socks for them for $5 a pair of socks, which is really cheap. That's the wholesale price. We can then sell those socks for $7 a pair. So the school will make $2 a pair for each pair of socks. And that's a fundraiser. That's a markup. You have the wholesale cost, which would be the $5 for the socks. We sell it at the full price, which is the $7 of socks, and we get that additional percentage of increase is the profit that the school makes in the form of a fundraiser. Stores do this too. When you go to Stater Brothers buys their stuff at a discounted wholesale price. They then do a markup to charge more for an item in order to make a profit. Now you might be like, well, that's pretty shady. Why don't they sell me the item for the cost that they buy it for? Well, why do they have to do a markup? Why does Stater Brothers have to charge you more for an item than what they buy for it? What do you think, Mara?
So they can make more money off of what they bought.
Right. They need to make money. They need to make money because they have to pay their bills. They have to pay for electric. They have to pay to rent the building. They have to pay for all those people who are bagging your groceries and cutting your meat and handing you the bread that you get at the bakery. All of those people they have to pay. Plus they want to make a profit because they're a business, right? So we don't judge them for marking up. Now they have to be careful because if they mark up too much, guess what? You're not going to buy your stuff there. You'll buy it somewhere else where they charge you less. But that's what markup is. It is a percentage added to the wholesale price to make a profit. Okay. I'm going to slide this guy up. Okay, so in order to do this, let's just do a practice one, okay, guys? Let's say we go and there's candy bars. So Stater Brothers is going to buy candy bars to sell in their store. And a candy bar for Stater Brothers at their wholesale price is 25 cents a candy bar. Okay? This is the wholesale price per bar. Okay. Now, Stater Brothers, in order to be able to make enough profit to pay for their employees and to pay for the business and to keep going and to make money, they decide they're going to mark up this candy bar 50%. Okay? So now they're going to mark it up 50%. That is 50% would equal the full price of the wholesale, which is the 25 cents, plus 50% more. Okay. Can somebody think, how would I solve this? Thinking about tax and tip and what we've already done. William, what could I do to solve it?
First you would make 50%, the decimal would be 5 cents.
Okay.
Then you would add 25 plus 5, which equals 30. Would be 30 cents.
Okay, so you wouldn't be adding it because this 5 is just going to be the rate of the increase, right? So you would actually multiply it times this. So you would say the 25 cent times that 50%. So we would do 25 cents times 0.5 or 5/10. I'm going to use a calculator because I've run out of room on my paper. So 0.25 times 0.5, the decimal value for 50%, equals 0.125. Now, I don't know if you can see that. Is that a proper way of writing money?
No.
We're going to have to round it, right? So what would that round to? 0.13, right? Okay. So we would have, it would equal 0.13 or 13 cents. So you would take the 25 cents, this is where I think you got a little bit confused. You would take the 25 cents and then you would add that 13 cents to it, which is the 50%. So 25 cents plus 13 cents equals what, class? 38 cents. So they would charge 38 cents for the candy bar. That would be the retail price. Not so bad. I would buy a candy bar for 38 cents. They make a little money. And 13 cents a candy bar might not seem like a lot of money, but let's say they sell 100,000 candy bars. Okay? Then you would say, okay, 100,000 times that 13 cents they're making candy bar, they just made $13,000 on their candy bars. So in the end, a little bit of money ends up making a big difference. Okay? All right, we're going to do a practice problem now, guys. So we're going to move over to page 81. And this practice problem, I'm going to warn you, is going to be a bear. Okay? We're going to use discount, tax, and tip in the same problem. Okay? Just like we were in the real world. So, our example. Nathan, could you give me a restaurant that you could go to where you would order food and it would require you to pay a tip? So not a fast food restaurant. Okay, let's choose Kiki. Can you give me a name of a restaurant where you might have to pay a tip? Red Lobster. I love Red Lobster. So Kiki's going to Red Lobster. Guess what, Kiki? You have joined the birthday club at Red Lobster, and because your birthday's coming up, they're going to give you 15% off your purchase, your bill. Okay? This is called your discount. All right. So Kiki, could you please tell me what would you like to purchase as your entree at, you're only going to go to Red Lobster by yourself for your birthday. So what is your items you're going to buy? What is your dinner item? Lobster. Kiki's going to buy lobster. Good choice. That lobster is going to cost you $26. Kiki, do you want a soda?
No.
Do you want a lemonade or a tea?
Yes.
Okay, what would you like?
Raspberry iced tea.
Okay, so she's going to get an iced tea. We're just going to assume it's raspberry. And that iced tea is going to cost you $2.25. And Kiki, it is your birthday. Would you like a dessert?
Yes.
What kind of dessert would you like?
Like a lava cake.
A lava cake. So she's going to get a cake. That lava cake is going to cost her $6.75. So let's add up to find out what her total is going to be. 5 plus 5 is what?
10.
10. Carry the 1. 2 plus 7 is? 9. Plus 1? 10. Carry. Oh, wait. Did I miss something there? Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. Now, let's add 1 plus 6 plus 2 plus 6.
15.
Carry the 1. And then we end up with 2 plus 1 is 3. So Kiki's total at the door, or Kiki's total for her bill prior to tax and tip is $35. This is her amount for her food, her bill. Now, do you remember Kiki gets 15% off, right? Yes. I know I added it all wackadoodle because it's not in a straight line. But if you do $26, that was her lobster. Her lobster was $26. I know because I was carrying. Then I add her drink cost.
Because 25 and 75 is $1.
And then if I add her lava cake, I end up with $35. Quiet down, please. Thank you. Okay, so it is $35. I know that I added it all wacky because it wasn't lined up properly, and that's not ideal. But we need to figure out now her discount. So we figured out what the cost is prior to discount, prior to tax, prior to tip. Now we're going to figure out what her discounted food price is going to be. You're going to take to do the discount, you're going to take the cost and subtract the discount. And remember, the discount is the cost times the discount percent. So what is your discount percent, class? According to your ticket. 15%. What is your cost, class?
$35.
So you're going to do $35 times 15% or $35 times 0.15, right? We've just moved that over. Now we're going to be real. In the real world, we would be using a calculator at the store. And I would do 35 times 0.15, and I get $5.25. It's her discount. What do I do with that discount? Kiki, what do I do?
You subtract it by your bill.
Yeah, so I take my bill, my cost, and subtract my discount. So this is the discount, this is the cost, and I get $35 minus $5.25 equals $29.75. Is that better? Okay, sorry. So that is your cost. That's your food cost. Now what do I do? What do I need to do now? Tip. Now I'm going to say let's do the tip, shall we? Let's do our tip would be Kiki, how was your service?
Good.
It was good?
Mm-hmm.
So your tip is going to be the cost plus the tip percent. So what percent do you want to give your server?
5%.
Let's do somewhere between 10 and 20%, understanding that 10 is probably your lowest percent. You don't want to do 5%. That's a pretty shady tip.
18%.
18%. Okay. So we're going to do 18% or 0.18. So what is our cost of our food items now, class? $29.75 is our cost after the discount is applied. We're going to multiply that times 18%, which would be $29.75 times 0.18. Let's use our handy-dandy calculator. 29.75 times 0.18 equals, I got this amount, 5.355. What do I do? Ready? What do I do? Daphne. Round it to what?
To the nearest penny.
Which would be?
$35.36.
Good. So this is your tip. Now I don't want to add that yet, right? Because I still need to add our tax. So we've done tip, we've done discount, now we need to do tax. How do I figure tax? Raise your hand if you can tell me. How do I figure the tax? You can also look back at your notes. Who can help me? Look at your notes. How do I add the tax? What is the tax rate? And how do I figure it out? Noah.
So you add the cost with the 9%.
So we're going to take the cost and we're going to multiply it times 9% approximately, right? Good. Noah, what is the cost of the food?
$29.75.
Good. Can you convert 9% for me to a decimal?
It is 90 units.
You got to move it twice. Once, twice.
9.
Oh, you said 900ths. I'm sorry. Okay, let's use our handy-dandy calculator. 29.75 times 0.09 equals this. 2.6775. Can somebody tell me what that would be? Noah Engel.
It would be $2.68.
Right, you round it up. So our tax is $2.68 approximately. All right. We're now ready to find the final cost. Who can help me with that? Who can help me find the final cost? Think about what we need to apply. What are the things that we've found that we need to apply in order to get our final cost? Daphne.
You have to add.
We need to add. You're going to add what?
$29.75.
Your food cost, which is $29.75. Good.
Plus $5.36.
Your tip, $5.36 plus,
$2.68.
which is your
Tax.
tax. So I took the the food cost, which was with the discount applied. I add the tax. I add the tip. All right, let's do it. 29.75 plus $5.36 plus $2.68 equals $37.79. This is what Kiki will pay out the door, or OTD, out the door. Not bad. She got a pretty good meal. Okay, final thing. Last thing I want you guys to know, and we have only a few minutes to do this, so I need you to really follow along with me, okay? Last concept, D. Percent of increase or decrease. Anne works at Stater Brothers, of course. I visit Stater Brothers a lot. Anne works at Stater Brothers and makes $10 an hour. She is getting a raise to $12 an hour. If the bell rings, stay put, okay? Sorry, guys. There you go. What is the percent of her increase in pay? So what is the increase? She's made 10, now she's making 12%. She's going up in payment, right? So you're going to use a formula. Here is your formula for percent of change. It equals the new amount minus the old amount over the old amount. It's like a fraction. Okay. Seems confusing, but let's try plugging it in. In this problem with Anne, what is the new amount per hour she's going to make with her raise? Riley? $12. Minus what is the old amount she used to make? Noah. Think about it. She used to make $10 an hour. Okay? Over $10. New amount, old amount, over old amount. Class, what is $12 minus 10? $2. What is, we move this over? Okay, let's make 2/10 into a percent. Okay? 2/10 as a percent. Remember, anything over 100 is your percent. What do I do to 10 to get to 100? Noah. Multiply by 10. Multiply 2 by 10, what do you get? 20. Her percent of increase is 20%. She had a 20% increase in pay. Now the good news is, guys, you're going to get some more time to practice this, okay? I just wanted you to take the notes so we can finish that off, but you will get to practice. And on your test next Tuesday, you won't be doing markup or these type of problems. But you will need to know tax, tip, and discount. Thank you guys so much. Have a fantastic day.